Hello, and welcome to Section 2 of Python Design Patterns. This section is called Producing with Factories. In this section, we're going to look at the following creational patterns, starting with factory, followed by abstract factory, builder, prototype, and then finally we'll have a look at a comparison between singleton and Borg. This first video is about the factory pattern. In this video, we will cover what a factory pattern is and when you might want to use it, and look at an example factory to create shapes. A factory pattern defines an interface for creating an object, but defers object instantiation to runtime. We may not always know what kind of objects we want to create in advance, so some objects can only be created at execution time after a user requests so, and this is what the factory pattern is supposed to facilitate. So if we look at this example, this shows how a factory pattern can be implemented. So we have a shape interface, which is implemented by concrete subclasses of different shapes. And then, on the right here, we have a shape factory, which has a method getShape and returns an instance of one of these concrete subclasses. So let's see how this works in code. Okay, so we'll start with our shape interface, and it just has a method draw, and the implementation of this method is to be deferred to the subclasses. So quickly just recall the difference between an interface and an abstract base class. An interface just defines the methods that an abstract base class may also define attributes that should also be inherited. So here we have two concrete subclasses of the shape interface. We have circle and square, and they both implement the method draw as required, and each just prints out the name of the shape and the fact that it's drawing. Okay, so let's create a shape factory to go with this now. Okay, so we'll create a static method getShape. It's static because it does not need to refer to self. And we'll say that if the type passed in is circle, we'll return an instance of circle, and similarly for square. If we pass in a type that is not recognized, then we can raise an assertion error and print out that we couldn't find that shape. Okay, so there's our shape factory. Now let's see how we can use this to return instances of these shapes. Okay, so I'm importing my shape factory from factory. I will instantiate it. And now say I want to get a square. There, I can see that the factory has returned me an object of type square, and let's just see if I can call draw on it. Indeed I can. So now suppose I want to get a shape that we haven't defined. I'm going to try and get a triangle. And as expected, we raise the assertion error and say that we cannot find the shape triangle.